Good morning, explorers. Boyd Biology and Will Boyd Science and Stewardship comes to you this week from the great Midwest, the Great Plains states. We are on the road, and we are so thankful to be on the road, and we have a kind of an indirect sponsor of this episode, if there is such a thing. I've just invented it. Our indirect sponsor, our good friends at Erber Auto, for fixing our car here recently to get the Boydmobile, as they say. You also might call it I think it's called the Party Mobile, the party van. They got it tuned up, ready to go. Superior paintings and coatings, also supporters of this trip. And we're here in the great Midwest, the Great Plains states. And hopefully we'll hear and see some things this week. We're going to be posting a few videos this week, exploring this part of the country. Listen to a few birds now. We'll flip this around. And so we're going to be having a few more of these longer form videos, exploring creatures, exploring plants and animals. And the first thing we're going to explore this morning, in addition to the sounds you're listening to, you might have this kind of initial impression of the Great Plains as, wow, this is kind of boring. There's not much going on here. There's lots of grass, right? They're really good at growing grass. Well, they're good at growing grass, which includes corn, right? Corn is just selective breeding of grass over thousands of years, right? And so they're good at corn, they're good at grass, they're good at soybeans, right? And so they have to have a use for all those things. So they put the corn into the gasoline even. That's how much corn they have here. So if you want your gas 40 cents cheaper, I'm sure people have comments about that. Either the economics of that or whether or not that's good or bad for your engine. It is 40 cents cheaper at the pump for 87 octane if it has ethanol. And so I did it. I went for it. They got me. But we're going to explore a couple of humble creatures here first. The first humble creature I want to introduce you to, you've probably heard of it before, is this little tiny roadside weed. You know, when you start learning about plants, you often hear the term weed. And it's not necessarily a bad term, but it can have bad connotations. It can kind of make us think that the plant is useless or undesirable completely. And, even the description of where these types of plants live, it'll often say roadside ditches or waste places. And that's not totally untrue, but we miss out on a couple things. This little plant is called chicory, a beautiful blue-petaled plant here. We can open its petals a little bit. Chicory is a really common roadside flowering plant, and it's a really important one too. Interestingly enough, chicory actually has served as a coffee substitute, which I just can't fathom the idea of why you would be compelled to have a coffee substitute. That's just me. I'm sure some of you are with me out there. This is chicory, one of the most common roadside weeds or roadside flowering plants you're going to see throughout the eastern half of the country, east of the Rockies. So we're in this ecological zone where it's wet. It's been stormy here. Things get wet and they mold quickly. Another really common weed that's found throughout the country. This is called salsify or goat's beard. I don't know why it's called salsify. We'll have to look into that a little bit more. My friend Matthew Hunter will probably have some comments on this. You should check out Matthew Hunter's stuff. He's the great woodpecker hunter, the ivory-billed woodpecker hunter down in the deep south there. We also have some clover, of course. Which you see everywhere as well. But today, the plant of the day is chicory. And so check it out. It's a really beautiful plant. That bright blue, which is a little bit unusual. You can see the stems coming out opposite sides as you go up the stem. The flowers are coming out opposite sides of the stem. This one's yet to flower. And so I hope to see more of you this week as you join Will on our adventure across the Great Plains. And we're actually going to dip into the southeast a little bit here too at the end of the week, going on a little side trip with my son Owen. And we'll be exploring some different places over in the mid-Atlantic, as they now say. I don't really like that term, the South. It's the South, come on. South of Mason-Dixon line. West Virginia, Virginia. That's the deal. Please subscribe and share. All right, my sons keep telling me this. Please subscribe and share. I'm bad at saying this. I'm telling you now. Subscribe and share. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.